Prodigy Discs has had it rough for the last few years. Star players like Chris Dickerson and Katrina Allen have left for lucrative contracts with Discraft and DGA, respectively. Gannon Burr had a very public bust-up with Prodigy, attempting to leave his contract early, suing Prodigy, and Prodigy countersuing. And of course, you've probably heard about the flashing. In fact, here you can see Gannon Burr allegedly removing some flashing during a Jomez Pro putting game episode last year. But if you look past the negative press and tune out the noise, you might just find your next favorite disc from Prodigy. Because the disc is in the details. Hey everyone, it's Greg from Six Sided Discs. If you're enjoying our Disc is in the Details series, please consider supporting us by picking up one of our Disc is in the Details custom stamps from ThoughtSpace Athletics. We have the Mana, Synapse, Animus, Pathfinder, Temple, Votum, Mantra, and more. Find them all at sixsideddiscs.com. Now though, let's get back to Prodigy. We'll explore one of Prodigy's newer discs, the FX3, in just a moment. But first, let's get you up to speed on the complicated history of Prodigy Disc. Prodigy was founded by, quote, disc golf world champions who were looking to develop a more consistent range of golf discs. In 2013, after 2 years of testing, Prodigy introduced their discs to their lineup of original sponsored pros, and it is a who's who of top-level players, including Cale LaVisca, Paul Ulibarri, Garrett Gurthie, two-time world champion Katrina Allen, five-time world champion Paige Pierce, world champion Sarah Hokum, U.S. champion Nico Locastro, U.S. champion Jeremy Colling, three-time U.S. champion Will Schustrick, and two-time world champion Ricky Wysocki. Prodigy does have some notable achievements. They were the first company to pay their players a salary, paving the way for professional disc golfers to make a living wage, and has helped shape what the modern sport has become. However, if you fast forward to today, only Cale LaVisca and Will Schustrick remain from that star-studded lineup. While many of those players have moved on, other top stars have taken their place, including last year's US DGC champion, Gannon Burr, Disc Golf Pro Tour winners like Kevin Jones, Isaac Robinson, Alden Harris, and more. But the success of their top pros hasn't necessarily resulted in disc sales. Infinite Discs ranked Prodigy as the 9th best-selling disc golf brand of 2022. But why is that? What is deterring players from throwing Prodigy? The first complaint we hear is flashing. Disc golf discs are created through injection molding, where two plates, typically a top and bottom, are put together, and hot plastic is injected into them. Some of that plastic leaks out where the two pieces meet. Now that can appear on the outer edge of the rim as a parting line, but it could also appear as a thin, rough line of plastic along the very bottom of the wing. This is a particularly crucial part of the disc because it comes into contact with your hand as you throw and can be pretty uncomfortable when there's a sharp edge. However, flashing is not at all exclusive to Prodigy. You'll find it occasionally on molds from Discraft, Innova, Dynamic Discs, and many more. Some other players complain that Prodigy discs don't hold up that well over time. Some Prodigy discs that I've had sitting around the longest start to develop a white resin on the outside of the plastic, almost like a powder, which is apparently the plastic breaking down. But again, other manufacturers have plastics that are notorious for their own issues, like the fragility of Innova's KC Pro plastic, especially in colder conditions. Lastly, many players that I've spoken to are not a huge fan of the naming scheme. Names like M1, F3, and PA3 aren't particularly inspiring, and the fact that Prodigy only started printing flight numbers on discs in 2022 didn't make it any easier to figure out what they do. In fact, to add to the confusion, Discmania, who similarly names their discs MD3, FD1, or P2, use the opposite numbering system for stability. Prodigy discs with higher numbers like 4 or 5 are more understable, while Discmania discs with higher numbers are more overstable. However, Prodigy has made some recent changes, and the future looks a little bit brighter. I've been told directly by someone at Prodigy that their plastic blends and manufacturing process have significantly improved, and that resin or kind of breaking down of the plastic doesn't happen anymore. And so far, I'd have to agree. Newer molds that we've received, like the Kevin Jones Feedback and the F9, a new understable fairway driver, feel great in both 400 and 500 plastic. There's no flashing to be found, and the overall quality and consistency from disc to disc is noticeable. There have been other improvements as well, such as adding flight numbers to their stock discs and introducing new molds with better branding, such as Kevin Jones' audio engineering-inspired lineup of feedback, distortion, and reverb, or Cale LaVisca's airborne lineup of Falcor, Shadowfax, and Strider. But if you look under some of those new discs, you'll find a clue as to how some of those improvements have been made. These discs are made in China. Now, that's not to say that that's a bad thing, but previously, Prodigy was producing their own discs near their headquarters in Dalton, Georgia, and those discs clearly show Made in the USA on the bottom. When Prodigy introduced the new Ace line in 2019, they opted to outsource that production overseas. This does make me wonder though, if Prodigy is producing 400 plastic in China and 400 plastic in the United States, is it actually the same plastic? Well, we have both plastics right here, and both are translucent, but I have to say there is a slight difference. The Chinese manufactured 400 plastic feels ever so slightly stiffer, and it's a little bit grippier or tacky compared to the 400 on US manufactured discs. Similarly, you can find 500 plastic models from both Made in China and Made in the USA. But here, the plastics aren't quite as similar. The 500 plastic on Made in China models is slightly softer and has a little more grip to it, while the USA 500 plastic has a slightly more slick feel to it, perhaps aiding with a clean release. Apparently, as I found out going through our inventory, you can also find a disc that says both, because here we have a Made in China D1 that says Made in the USA on the front. Now, I do want to be clear before we continue that these are simply our observations, and I don't have anything against Prodigy discs. In fact, I quite like Prodigy. I've thrown the A1 and A2, the FX2, and the D2 in the past, and I currently bag an F5. In fact, it's one of the oldest discs in my bag. And I also proudly display my Chris Dickerson USDGC FX2 right here behind me in every video. But like I said in the title of this video, Prodigy has some gems. And if you're busy worrying about flashing and what you've heard about Prodigy discs in the past, you might just be missing out. And then there's the FX3. The FX3 is a 9-speed fairway driver with flight numbers of 9.4, -1.52. It is a fantastically straight, but still torque-resistant fairway driver. The FX3 is similar to other straight-to-stable fairway drivers, such as the Discraft Undertaker or Discmania CD1. The FX3 is one of the discs now being manufactured in China, and the feel and finish of the disc is definitely an improvement on some of the older discs that had that sharp flashing along the rim. The FX3 is available in 400 plastic, a translucent premium blend, as well as 500 plastic, a pearlescent opaque plastic. One upside to Prodigy's new overseas manufacturing is the price. 400 plastic is only $16 to $17 for a brand new disc, while 500 is around $18. This is at least $4 less than most premium plastics, such as Discmania's S-Line or C-Line. And on the course, the FX3 lives up to the hype. The FX3 can do it all. It can give you a fairly reliable turn before an equally reliable fade, living up pretty nicely to those flight numbers. In the woods, it's great for flat, drifting shots that come back, even if it does hit a tree. And it is great for effortless hyzer flips. And even on big downhill bombs, you can throw it hard and trust that it will eventually come back, and even go long on a 482-foot hole. Whatever your past experiences with Prodigy, you can't deny that talented players like Gannon Buhr and Isaac Robinson are doing incredible things with the plastic. So why can't you? The future may be made in China, but it does look a little brighter for Prodigy. For Six Sided Discs, I'm Greg. We'll see you in the next one. Comment below what disc we should do next. Remember, the disc is in the details. If you like this content and want to see more, please consider liking the video, subscribing to our channel, or supporting us on Patreon. Your support makes this content possible. But if you look past the negative press and tune out the noise, Prodigy discs. But if you look past the negative press and turn. But wow. In 2013, after 2 years of testing, Prodigy introduced their lineup to their first, paving the way for professionals to earn a living wage and help disc golf evolve into what it has become today.
Yeah.